like to call the Master Plan Implementation Committee to order. Is anyone recording the meeting? LakeCAM is recording the meeting.
The date is?
Today's date is Tuesday, September 19th. Thank you for asking.
2023.
2023. All right, so I'd like to take the Pledge of Allegiance if we don't mind. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Got a full agenda tonight. Do we want to take roll call, or are we good?
I'm here.
Let's do roll call. Why not, shall we?
Patrick Marshall.
Thank you.
Ari Sky.
Rodney Dixon.
Joseph Chamberlain.
Rita Garbutt.
Thank you. And we have a guest tonight, Mr. Mark Resnick, who is our town planner. So we have 9 agenda items tonight. And
7.
we've done the
7.
Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry?
7.
Actually,
It's the last number is
Oh,
7.
last number
geez.
is 9.
I did it again.
You did it
And
again.
I double checked that, Joe.
You're just trying to keep us alert.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to count in my head first before he made that announcement. Okay, so we've done the Pledge of Allegiance. Item number 2 is review and possible vote to approve the meeting minutes for June 20th of 2023. Has everyone had the opportunity to read the meeting minutes? And if so, is there any corrections?
I would move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Meeting minutes are approved. Item number 3, discuss and possible vote on co-chair position for this committee. Since Mr. Rogers had resigned from the committee, that left us with a void in the co-chair position, which we haven't had for quite some time now. And so wondering if we would like to appoint a co-chair or not. And if we do, then we could take a vote. Any thoughts? Open it up to the floor.
I move that Ari be the co-chair.
Anyone else? Any discussions?
Heavy's the head that wears the crown.
Classic line.
Hey, how are you?
Thanks for being late.
It's all good.
She nominated him.
Yeah, so we,
Yeah, you're the new co-chair.
be careful where you sit. I sat in the wrong spot once and I was elected chair, but I digress.
Thank you. Rita.
Yeah, so what we're talking about, Jack, we're on item number 3, which is to discuss a possible vote on a co-chair position for this committee. And Ari was nominated by one member, and it's up for discussion. If you have any idea who would you
Has
like?
that been seconded?
Or
I
second it?
If not,
Yeah.
I will now. That locks it in.
Okay, so do we want to take a vote on Ari Sky as the co-chair? All right, so we got a nomination, we've got, it's seconded. So we'll take a vote, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I didn't hear Harry say anything.
He said aye.
I think he said aye,
He said
so.
aye.
Or a
Motion
few
carries.
words
It
after.
feels weird to vote for yourself and.
Right,
All right, so, well, thank you for voluntold,
Thank you.
so appreciate that. All right. So next agenda item is agenda item number 4, is to review and discuss the revisions to the Master Plan Implementation Committee charge. So we talked about this last time, and we would, I think we need to update it personally. We did talk about this. If you like, what we can do is can read the charge, or do we want to waive the reading of the charge?
Motion to waive the reading.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We will not read the charge. So we'll open it up to discussion.
At the last meeting, I had mentioned that I would reach out to other communities to find a similar charge. Well, it turns out I couldn't find any. And I stuck with the 27, Serpent communities. Some of them had, they called the committees, different titles.
Yep.
Steering committees, sometimes it was just the planning board that, they had mission statements, that was the other thing I did find.
What did the steering committee do? Did you give me, did they tell you what their steering committee did? It's similar to what
Well,
we
they were,
do,
they're
or-
all sort of,
They were all basically doing the same thing we're trying to do, right?
some of the committees, towns, the planning board appoints committee chairs for, say, land use, for economic development. Some of them had like 30 members. I just tried to,
Wow.
Talk about herding cats.
yeah, they have
30
7
members.
master plan subcommittees. And I have to say, our website, we have all the public workshops on there.
Yep.
A lot of these committees, even though they had master plan, steering committee, couldn't find minutes. You know, we have all our agendas, all our minutes, the master plan, and some of the master plans were pretty old. So I think, like this one said agenda and minutes when I tried to, what town is this?
Is that the Pembroke?
Berkeley.
one? Berkeley.
Freetown is pretty, they have a mission statement. Work with town staff, Serped, develop goals, objective, and action items. And so I don't know what we want to add. A lot of them go after grant money, which we talk about grants, update various sections. Keyboards, work with keyboards to assist the committee in updating various sections. So I think, I know our select board, sets up charges for all, not elected boards, but for, appointed
All
boards.
committees.
You
yeah.
can find a charge. So I don't know that we want to change or add anything unless somebody found
I
something.
feel like a lot of the towns too, once the master plan has been adopted, then the committee itself, that kind of goes dormant until the next time it needs to be.
I think it's a little unusual for it just to be
Updated.
a standing committee. Yeah, I think that's true.
Right, but by title, we're, implementation committee.
Yeah.
So, we implement the master plan, understanding that there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of different committees that are involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
So and we've had this discussion ad nauseum. But I feel like, we have to be more involved to implement the plan. One of the things that we've discussed is getting back to having the committees that have responsibility to the master plan, is to have them come before this board, or this committee, excuse me, with updates. And strongly encourage those committees to have master plan as a standing agenda item to work toward implementing the master plan with what's been identified. That's one suggestion. I don't know if that's something that this committee would consider. To get back to it, I know several years ago, we did have the committee members present here with some updates, but we've met a lot of the goals that we had. But moving forward, to keep it, the momentum is to have that as a standing agenda item, whether it be with the select board or with the various committees, and then have those committees update this committee with where they're at, and then have dialogue. I know that you've mentioned several times that we're not a policy setting committee, and coming back to that and understanding our charge, what our charge is, it's kind of hard to implement a plan if we don't have the authority, right? We have the responsibility by title, but do we have the authority?
Mr. Chairman,
Well,
I'm sorry, Rita.
Well, on Swansea, it's interesting that it's the select board, planning board, and then they have an implementation committee. And they do a lot. Their, bylaw rewrite, permit, regulatory reform, economic development committee, they seem to do quite a, whether or not they have authority, I would say you have to go to each committee that has the
Swansea's
authority.
structure is pretty balkanized. It's pretty, they have a sort of a weak town administrator, they don't have much, I don't know if they're a strong chief or not, I don't think they are. And they're basically, they're not quite a commission government, but they're kind of like one. They have they have lots and lots of committees. I have a suggestion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair.
So,
Stand by for 1 second, please.
I have a suggestion. The strength of this committee, the authority of this committee is basically kind of a moral authority. It's about the evangelist for the master plan and for getting that implemented. Now, how do you assert moral authority when you don't have specific task you're assigned?
Correct.
And it occurs to me that it's something that this committee could do to assert that position and to make an impact on how the policy boards handle implementation is to put together perhaps an annual report, a state of the master plan kind of report. Some kind of document where we as a body put together an assessment of where things stand in terms of the implementation of the master plan, which would in turn be released to the other committees, to the community at large, posted on the website and so on, and could therefore be, instead of having we have this great crosswalk, which is a terrific piece of work, but frankly, looking at it every time gets a little tired. Maybe what we ought to be doing is saying, okay, how do we summarize what the salient issues are, what needs to be helped, what needs to be addressed, and what do we want to make the master plan implementation committee a platform for doing?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm on the planning board, and I think Mark does a great job, and Mark represents there as well, and I think all the people do a great job in the 3 years that I've been there. They're so deeply involved in Lakeville Hospital, Lakeville Country Club, Sikorsky, the exterior signage program, Design Center, which is a great one, the open plan program. So they're totally involved in all of that. I guess my question is, do any of the committees have the master plan say, besides Sikorsky and Lakeville Hospital, are we in line with the master plan? And I think your suggestion of having Mark and all the other different heads come into their meeting and just say, how you coming with, or where do you stand, or have you done any, have you looked at, because I'm surely not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm not being critical of planning board because I think they do a great job, but I've never once heard them speak about the master plan. Mark, maybe you can tell me I'm wrong, but
Are they doing things that dovetail into the master plan without articulating it?
That's
Yes.
correct. That's
Yeah.
what we're doing. So like, for example, that we're gonna be discussing tonight, the OSRD recommendation is in there. I don't recall if updating the site plan review or sign bylaws in there, but updates to the zoning, I believe, are in there. And so we've been working down that path.
yes.
And I've been coming to your meetings.
You have, yeah, we appreciate that.
So I think we're doing those
more
things.
formalized, yeah.
I
Thank
guess
you.
my question is, I'd have to go back and look at the master plan and say, are these things dovetailing with what you want? I think they are. Mark probably knows better than I do. And I think the planning board does a great job. They're overwhelmed with work. And I just, we've got this great plan. I guess my last comment would be, are any of these committees in the town, do they ever look at it? Are they saying, do they ever take time in the meetings and say, we need to be making sure we've done this, this, and this? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It'd be nice to have them come before us and say that. I suspect there's components of the master plan. We remember, was it 2 years ago, Rita, where we decided to, when we were updating started to update the matrix after we had a long break, and we started going through and check marking what the accomplishments were, and much to our surprise, we as a town accomplished a ton, but it just wasn't clearly communicated on what those were. So there wasn't like a checklist to the master plan. Okay, these are the things that we've done. It was just, you know, a lot of work with the different committees and looking through the master plan and say, oh yeah, this was done, that was done. So from various sources, we obtained that information. I just like to streamline it, you know, quite frankly, and then again, get it if it's, and understanding everyone is busy, to get it on their standing agenda. Just, and it might be as something as simple as we have no update. Okay, move forward. And then, you know, when there's an update, maybe, you know, like this plan, thank you, Mr. Resnick, too, for submitting that information that you'll talk about in a little bit. Plans like that, you know, that we know that's an important component. Yes.
Is there, I seem to feel, just from all this local stuff I'm watching, that there is kind of perhaps an unconscious connection. You know, they're aware of this. They're aware that there's a whole list of things that all the different committees and commissions ought to be working towards. And I think a lot of the times they're doing it, you know, sort of tangentially, unconsciously, but, you know, still staying with it. I'm wondering if perhaps a brief, hey folks, memo to all these boards, you know, let's work together, let's make sure, you know, I'm not sure exactly how to word this thing, but, you know, keep us in mind when you're discussing stuff.
Absolutely.
The stuff, is the things we're deciding and the stuff that's coming before us, you know, is would the master plan implementation committee be interested? And the answer probably is, oh yeah.
Yes, we would. And I would say to, to Ari, is there a format on those updates? Is there a specific format to the updates? Or is it just a quick, hey, this is what we've done, here's where we're at this point in time?
So which updates are you talking about?
Any updates to the master plan, you had mentioned earlier about having a more formalized
I was
communication.
talking about like a regular report, like an annual report.
Yeah, and is there a format to that annual report that it has to, is just,
Nothing prescribed, no.
okay. All right, fair enough,
What-
yes.
I think, you know, whether you ask them to come in here or you do it through this memo, and I just think that we need to remind them that there are these items in the master plan, and how close are you doing it? I mean, even myself, I wouldn't, right now, I'd have to go back to the master plan and see where we are, but Mark knows probably better than I do, but, and you know, these guys are working like crazy, and Mark
Yes,
Knox
they are.
is on God knows how many different committees, and spends virtually his whole life working for the town. God love him. So I mean, so I'm not being critical. I'm just trying to say, Mark, am I wrong? I've never heard anyone say, we're, even when we did the goals, I don't think I even heard them say, you know, we need to make sure we're in line with number 1, 2, 3 of the master plan. I mean, I don't know.
No, we haven't directly tied our work specifically to the master plan as far as having direct conversations, unless maybe it was like a year ago or more, when I first started here. But many of the, the basic tasks in here, we've accomplished already. And
Yeah.
of course, there are some more in here, and we've run through them in past meetings. So, perhaps I'll, if I could, if you'd like, for, I don't know whether it would be the next planning board meeting, but we could pull out the planning board related
Yeah, the goals
items,
that Nora put together.
and we could perhaps review them and kind of just see
Yeah.
what we've accomplished, what we may want to add to your own planning board goals.
I mean, I'm not focusing on just the planning board.
Mhm.
I'm thinking of the other committees, knowing what we do. I gotta believe the other committees are totally immersed in their things. And then, assumingly these people have been lived in the town longer than I have, been on these committees longer than I have. So they're steering their committee in the right direction. I don't know. I just simply say,
Yeah, I believe they are steering the committees in the right way. I know that they're working hard. And like I mentioned earlier, when we first came back a while ago to update we were pleasantly surprised at the accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
They just weren't formally communicated, hey, this is this component of the master plan. And I believe it was quite a bit I forget how many items, 17 or 18 items, if memory serves.
So, Mr. Chairman, just a couple of things. I'm wondering if really one of our objectives as a committee then is probably what Ari had said earlier anyways, is that at some point, whether it be the end of the fiscal year or the end of the calendar year, that we need to look and go, okay, you know, these committees are working hard, they're working towards, but like you said, we go through and go, all right, where are we on this go? Oh, it was done. Oh, no,
Yep.
this one isn't, and more aligned in that. The other thing I was just gonna say is, have the select board members mentioned anything as far as a charter, if they're the ones who are given the charter to the committees? I would think that if we wanted to change our charter or something, a discussion with them would really be
You
the,
need to go to the select board with the charge, change the
what do
charge.
they expect from this committee?
Yeah, that's a great observation. Yes, sir.
I'm not sure to whom to direct this question. What kind of a feel do we have for frequency of meetings of these different towns? I mean, a lot of them like quarterly, or, I mean, are any of them like monthly meetings?
Well, it
or-
depends on if they're working on the master plan,
Plan.
monthly.
So there is no rigid schedule that you
Right.
discovered?
So I know that once the, like even this meeting, we were meeting monthly for a while. We got the master plan, and then we decided, you know, we can go every other month, and, I just don't want to lose momentum. Want to keep the momentum going, you know, obviously understanding and being sensitive to time. Everyone is busy, everyone's time is valuable, I appreciate that. But, you know, we do need to, I think, re-energize and moving forward. So, to that end, so what would be your recommendation for a report? I think, Patrick has a great point, you know, is it the end of the fiscal year is expected, or at end of calendar year, what, to be in line with the
I think it's
rest of
whatever,
the reports?
I think it's whatever the MPSC wants to do. If you want to have it affect the budget process, if you want to do it, you know, before the end of the calendar year. If you just want to do an annual report, saying state of the, you know, that's when, then a good time to just maybe coincide around town meeting, might be a good time to do it.
And can we get on town meeting agenda to do the update?
It's part of the annual town meeting agenda, perhaps.
Okay.
I'd have a conversation with the select board. I mean, I would say you probably want to have a joint meeting with the select board sometime early next year to talk about that.
Okay. Does that sound reasonable, or?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
I do think the idea of some type of, you know, this commission, to make itself the authority on the master plan, the committee needs to kind of put its money where its mouth is and come forward with, you know, with some kind of document, some kind of findings, some kind of assessment, which can in turn be used and shared else throughout the organization as a guidepost.
Okay.
I think it's also good too that we are in frequent repeat on cable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that reminds people all the time, there is a plan, you can go and look at it, here it is.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the planning board does have the most items on this. And I'd be interested in meeting with, like Jack had said, to meet with the planning board, because I think some of these aren't priorities anymore, you know, but I think economic development, we do need more economic development in town. Do we look at, rezoning some areas of town, or a lot of this is about mixed-use development. Is the planning board even interested in doing that? Do we want more senior housing? Maybe these aren't even things that the planning board wants to pursue. And then, I don't know what you think.
I think you have a real point, Rita. There are aspects of the master plan that the current planning board does not seem to have much interest in.
Right.
Mark, you know, Mark can speak.
Including
better
economic
than-
development, by the way.
Pardon?
Including some aspects of economic development, by the way.
So is that, how does that affect the master plan then, if there's no interest? Do we then extend the timeline for that component? of the master plan, or do we shelve it?
It's a good question.
Or do we schedule a meeting with the planning board?
Oh, I would definitely wanna have
I
a
think- I
meeting
think-
with the planning board,
And,
absolutely.
and I could get them the, copies of the most updated
Yeah, that'll be
Yes,
June
please.
23rd.
I would recommend, though, if we are gonna have a joint meeting, that we narrow the focus of
Yeah, I
the
agree.
discussion
Yeah, absolutely.
to, let's not review stuff
Yeah.
we've already done.
Correct.
Let's
Right.
figure
It
out
should not be a
what's,
walk through the matrix. We need to,
Yeah.
you need
Yeah,
to, you know, if you have 5 or 6 things you wanna talk about in the meeting,
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
You agreed.
Or have the members pick out their priorities, what they wanna pursue
Yeah,
ahead of
and
time,
see if
and
those
then tell
dovetail
us.
into the master plan, yes.
You know, I think Mark can speak better to this issue if he wants, but, yeah, we have a, over 55 unit going in next to CVS. And the whole, spoken with these people multiple times about handicap parking. Right now, the unit has no elevators, right?
Yeah.
Mark?
Mhm.
No elevators. 55 and over. If I had to go up 3 flights of stairs every day to go to the grocery store, to CVS, and whatever. So anyways, you know, and Mark can speak better to it than I can, but, and that's one thing we're working on as far as senior citizens, you know, senior housing. What's gonna happen with, Rhino down at the hospital is another issue on,
Oh, yeah.
you know, on the housing that's gonna go in there. I guess my only concern is that maybe I'm speaking way off left field and I'm not speaking where it should be, but to me, I don't think this town can handle any more housing. I mean, you know, we have to get our water from Taunton. And, I don't see much industry coming in here other than.
Bless you.
I'm not being critical of anyone. I'm just saying, as I see it, we get the marijuana, you know, industry over here in the park.
Most updated.
But we don't have, we have that storage facility next to the CVS. But I don't see an awful lot of industry coming in. You can speak better than I do, you know.
I think from a housing standpoint, being sensitive to how you feel about that, I think the global, you know, kind of the more global picture is how does it relate to the master plan, right?
Right.
With the current laws in place, with the current bylaws, in place, and the guidelines, what can go where, how many of what can go where.
Right.
Those are going to be more granular level issues with the town versus the more global of the master plan. And again, this goes back to if that, and it's a valid opinion about can we handle it, yes or no? Well, that's really for the town to decide. Can we, yes or no? And if we feel we can't, or we don't want to grow as much with population, and that's going to be a component of the master plan, but it's really going to go to the committees that would manage that. Can I put X number of units at the old hospital site, yes or no? What's it, 40B, 40R?
Mhm.
If we get a friendly or an unfriendly
Application.
developer, they could come in and say, yeah, we understand you've got a master plan. However, if they're legally
Well,
entitled to do it, then
Yeah,
then they can do it.
not to remove the scab off the not very old wound.
But yeah, here we are.
But here we are, and we are, and I didn't bring up the hospital, I just want to point that out.
You know, I apologize if I brought up stuff I should have brought up, Mark.
But economic development goal 4-1, focus on redevelopment opportunities at the former Lakeville Hospital site and Dewey's Bowling Alley.
Yep.
Strategy, refocus and reinvigorate Lakeville's Economic Development Committee, you go, okay, and then linear strategy, focus future large-scale business growth to key locations along Route 18 and 105. The vision in the master plan was for large-scale development to go in at the hospital site, or some version of that.
Correct.
Not several hundred houses,
Right.
Right.
but decisions were made.
And lawsuits were filed.
Votes were cast.
Still going on.
Decisions were
Yeah,
filed.
still going on.
It's still going on,
Yeah.
still.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I apologize if I took this whole meeting off the.
No, we can, in the interest of time, we can come back on point, and I appreciate your thoughtfulness, so,
Well,
to that
that's
end,
why I
that's
think
concerned.
if you do go to the planning, we do have a joint meeting, and we stay focused on a few topics, because, for example, this one topic could, you could be there all evening,
Yep.
so,
Right.
again, so this committee should kind of review the matrix and then put together, these are the
We're
3,
moving to the
4,
philosophical
5
as opposed to the.
items
Right,
that
that's
we
correct.
feel are the most important, that we'd like to meet with the board with.
Well, and I know for myself personally, I would caution us because I think sometimes we veer as a committee into almost getting into a decision-making, almost stepping on the toes of, say, the planning board or something, and it's kind of like, I view us as an advisory, I don't know if that's the right term or not, but yes, we look to see if the master plan is being done, as Ari and you had pointed out. We have the report, hey, we've done this, we haven't, boy, this one hasn't been done, and this is a pretty big thing that was in the master plan, so what's going on with whatever, open space committee, planning board, what have you, that this goal or objective hasn't been done. But I would hate for us to be stepping on the toes of a committee that has that authority to do what have you, or duplicating the work of other committees that are out there as
No,
well.
I
too.
understand
I
what you're
agree
saying,
with,
but-
I agree with that 100%, and it's a fine line, right?
Right.
It's like, hey, we have this plan, we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it, the citizens of Lakeville took time out of their lives to, to help create this very important document. And, we know in government that, it doesn't always go the way we'd like, right? So, to that end, we have this vision, and it's in writing. I think it's well articulated, well thought out, but things change. So, to that end, I agree with you. This is what did you call it before, Ari, an aspirational document? I think is
Master
the term.
plans are always aspirational documents.
Yeah, I think you've used that term, where it's an aspirational document, right? So, to that end, if that's the case, then focus has changed or priorities have changed, and it's just gonna be a simple, okay, well, we hear what you're saying, and we'll just make the modifications. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I mean, I can only speak for the planning board. I mean, I don't think that any of us would be offended if you, whatever term you want to use, if you were to say, in a document, ask Mark to come, kind of give us an update where you are on this and that.
Yeah.
And I know Mark pretty well, and I don't think he'd be offended, or any of the members would be. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all. So,
And that's all we want to know.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all we want to know. Where are have you looked at the master plan? Are you working towards that?
yeah,
What have you done?
that's exactly the goal, and to the different committees. So, okay.
Can I ask
Ye-
one? Is the housing production plan been finalized and approved by the state?
The housing production plan, I don't believe we have heard back on.
It's with the state, yeah.
From
Oh,
the
it's been
state,
submitted?
it has been submitted. It's
Okay.
been
A
approved by
while back
both
now.
boards.
Is it on the website?
I believe so.
I believe,
The
yeah. I
final,
believe it. Yeah, I
final
believe-
one? Okay.
yes.
The final draft is, I believe.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
it's not final until it's approved by the
Right,
state. as
but
well.
our final draft?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Yes.
At the expense of opening up yet another can of worms. Is there anything to be gained by a couple of reps from local towns on their committees, meeting with them? Because if you read their charges, there's lots of similarities. I mean, they're
There are.
all trying to maintain that city-country thing
Yep.
and do this, and the wording is almost the same on a lot of these. And you'll learn from the people that are doing the same thing that we're doing, or trying to do.
Right. I think that's an excellent suggestion.
I don't know if it wouldn't be Serpent, maybe would Serpent get involved with sort of the whole master plan thing,
Well,
the towns are doing?
we're
or-
allowed so much time,
Right.
the selectmen allocate and
Right.
planning board select,
Food for thought. Okay.
do you wanna reach out to?
Just
Some of these-
spitballing, just just
I
wanted
mean-
to see what you think of the idea.
I mean,
I'd really, I guess, like to hear, I don't know, the more I listen to everybody, and there's some great suggestions, but it, to me, just seems to be getting ballooning up a bit, that it almost seems to me that I kind of want to go back to
Go
just,
backwards
okay,
and-
what is it that the selectmen who, or a select board who appoint the charge of the committees, basically, what are they looking for?
Yeah.
Based on what we would like to do as well too, and then from
Yeah.
there we can take it.
And maybe there's a disconnect. Maybe they have a different vision than what we do, right?
It's possible, I mean, we haven't,
Maybe
Talk
we
to
should
them in a
check
while.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with you.
I mean,
100%,
Mr.
so-
Chairman, just to read this question, so the 2017 housing production plan's on, but the draft is not. The new draft is not,
Okay,
because it hasn't been approved yet.
Okay. All right, so in the interest of time, we'll move forward.
so, well,
Yes.
do we want to meet with the selectmen? Have Ari,
I would love to meet with the select board.
Select board.
Yes, select board.
that would be the next step.
Would that be the next step, or the planning board be the next step?
What-
I think like Kevin suggested, I think, we get back.
How
to
long
your
does
direct-
it take to get on the agenda for the select board?
All depends on their availability, but, I think
Would it be better to try to get the planning board?
probably sometime in, probably get on select board agenda sometime in October. We have 2 meetings in October, probably the 23rd would be more likely. But I could talk to Chairman Day.
I mean, the planning board would always just be a meeting with them to, hey, where are we with this, we've been discussing with the master plan, with whatever, kind of the 2 or 3 items, as Mark was saying.
So the idea would be you'd meet with the select board to talk about the charge and then meet with the planning board after that? Is that what you're thinking? Or I think you ought to talk to, I think the committee ought to meet with the planning board first. That's more substantive. And they didn't come to the select board certain with their
Yeah, I agree.
recommendations.
Yeah, I was
So,
gonna say earlier, if
If
we
we
could meet
met
with
with the
them
planning
first.
board, because Jack, you said Mark would be willing to come to one of our meetings instead of
Oh.
us going to theirs.
I mean, I can't speak for Mark, but just knowing Mark, I'm sure if you asked him to come, he'd be more than glad to come.
Invite them for October 17th.
I would.
Okay.
Am I wrong,
So
Mark?
planning,
Well,
Plan-
again,
October.
I don't know his schedule, but I do
Yeah.
see him at plenty of meetings, so.
Yeah, I mean, I would think he can wedge it into his schedule.
so we'll meet with the planning board on October 17th,
If
if available.
it's available.
Now, do you want the planning board to, so October 17th?
See, now, how does this work? Is it considered a joint meeting, or do we have them come in?
We would both post.
Okay.
If you ask the entire board to attend, we would have to post a planning board meeting. If you just want the chairman to come like me, sit here and
Even 2 of
discuss.
them, as long as it's not a
Yeah,
quorum, you're fine.
Right.
Could we
Yeah.
narrow the focus of that meeting too? We don't want it to
Yeah,
be
I
a
think.
broad thing.
Yeah, I would suggest this committee needs to have a conversation about what you particularly want to talk to the planning board about. What those areas of interest are to discuss.
I would recommend that you just ask Mark to come.
Okay.
I mean, he can speak best, he knows way more than me and most of the other people, and I think if you bring the whole board, all of a sudden you get up into a whole bunch of.
Yeah,
bunny trails.
that's not the intention.
I
The
mean, just-
intention is more of like, Mr. Resnick said, a bullet point, just, 5, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4,
Right.
5, 6.
That's all.
I'm just messing with you. Just have some very pointed,
Well-
conversation. So, does that sound reasonable?
Well, I think to really get the flavor of what the planning board is thinking, you need to really meet with everybody. If there are some, you want to kind of hash out what you want to discuss with Mark Knox as chairman, that's a different item, so.
Thoughts?
I mean, I see you stay with just Mark.
I kind of agree with that.
I mean, I think if you bring us all in, something maybe said, and of course me, I'll be off on one bunny trail and Nora and,
Yeah, we don't
all of
want-
a sudden it gets out of hand. I mean,
Yeah.
if they're doing it all it's for the right purpose, but I mean, if you want the planning board to tell you, I know the goals, and here we are working towards.
I think a succinct meeting with the chair would suffice.
Ooh, a succinct meeting, ooh.
Yeah, that's a word for the
And I
day.
apologize to everyone for
That's
7,
the
10
word
years
for the
ago
day.
here by now, so, well, all right, so let's move forward.
So we wanna have Mark check with Mark to see if October 17th
Yeah,
works fine?
yes, please, thank you.
And if 6:30 works, or if 7 works?
Either works, I don't wanna be in imposition.
And Mark, I'll give you a copy of this too.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so the next agenda item is discuss a welcome package for new residents. At the last meeting, we discussed this a little bit, about a welcome pack, and I know, Rita, would you
I
like to
went-
speak to that?
Yes, I contacted the town clerk and I gave you the handout. This is in their welcome packet, which is all about the, master plan.
Yeah, so for the folks
So
at
they
home,
know
this is
about Yeah.
this is the document that's being referenced. So this is, a summary in the process. And then we talk about the elements of the focus, ways we participated, and this document is online. Title of the document is Lakeville 2030. Okay. So will this suffice? I think it does. I know that we talked a little bit more in depth about a package, and we talked about chapter 61 and, to people, reaching out to people with chapter 61.
Just filed my paperwork for this
There you
year.
go. And got a little bit too in the weeds with that, unfortunately. So just welcome package. Hey, welcome to Lakeville. This is what we have. Master plan. Take a look at it, please, and familiarize yourself. When I meet people in the community that are new to the community, I always introduce myself and hey, I'm a longtime Lakeville resident, and also work on the master plan, and ask them, hey, do you know what this is? And the answer is usually no, we don't. And then I give them the 30-second elevator pitch. Well, if you want to know what's going on and kind of get a flavor, and then I refer them to the master plan, and I again reintroduce myself, and if they need any questions answered, to please reach out. And so far no one's reached out, but that's okay. We have this on tape, so it's all good. All right. Any other discussion about the welcome packet other than what's been mentioned? Okay, hearing none. Discuss special town meeting scheduled for November 13th. And what was that in reference to, Rita?
The Mark
warrants?
forwarded me 3 warrant articles for
Okay.
the November 13th
All
special
right,
town meeting.
so I'd like to turn it over to you,
Okay.
Mr. Resnick, to discuss the articles, please.
Okay, well, the first article is the open space residential development bylaw, which is one of the items in your master plan. So this is our second version of this. When I arrived, I wrote a first version of this. It went to town meeting. There was some specific concerns that were mentioned by members of the Conservation Commission and the Board of Health. So I've since made some revisions and gone to both committees to address their concerns, and now we have their support on this document. Basically, the open space residential development bylaw is a multi-step process whereby first there's an informal meeting with basically some basic sketch plans. This is what I believe I could do as a conventional subdivision, and I could get, let's say, 10 house lots. This is what I'd like to do in a concept. Both are very conceptual, but just to get some feedback from the planning board, give them an idea of where this might be, and what the issues their concerns might be, so they can incorporate it into a more comprehensive design. Then they would go out and do a preliminary plan based on the planning board's regular rules and regs related to preliminary plans, and then a more detailed sketch plan of the OSRD. However, the preliminary plan needs to be truly proven that that developer can get 10 conventional house lots on that piece of land. And so they have to prove the lots with perk tests as with the Board of Health. And they would also have to delineate the wetlands. So those are kind of two more comprehensive things you don't always see with a preliminary plan that they're required to do because they want to do an OSRD. If they receive preliminary plan approval and the concept plan approval, then they would file for their special permit for the OSRD plan and final subdivision approval. That would be, again, those hearings would be concurrent. And those would be the final design plans. Typically, once a plan receives the preliminary approval and concept approval, the final step is more an engineering review. It's like, can you make the drainage work the way it's supposed to? Have you designed the road the way it's supposed to? Have we addressed all the other design elements for this? So generally, if it makes it past the second step, it kind of generally usually moves forward because there's a lot of public comment that goes along with that. So, so specifically, like I mentioned, to address the Board of Health, they're no longer required to have wells and septic on the same lots. You either need to have municipal water or a common septic system or, you know, a sewer treatment plant of some kind. That eliminates the issues related to contamination of water supply, drinking water for each of the houses. And they must prove all the lots on the conventional plan. For the Concom, they were particularly concerned that the open space land be properly protected under what's called Article 97, which would require an act of the legislature to undo its status as open space land. So that was added. They wanted to make sure that there was a minimum size, that they didn't want to be accepting 2 or 3 acre little pieces of open space scattered throughout the town. So that we instituted a 20 acre minimum so that they'll be accepting at least a 10 acre parcel of land as open space. And the third thing was during the preliminary plan process that the wetlands be delineated and they receive an ANRAD on that, which is a notice of resource area delineation, where they delineate all the wetlands. And again, that goes to proving that all the conventional lots could be built upon. So those are the significant elements of the OSRD.
Any discussion? Now, the question I had, one question I had was about the, let me see. It talks about the water supply, municipal, so the development shall be served by at least one of the following types of utilities: a municipal water supply, privately owned public water supply, a wastewater treatment plant, which you've mentioned, or a shared septic. How many lots in Lakeville right now would meet that requirement? Just if you know, if you don't.
No,
okay.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Aren't all the ones in LeBaron unshared, a treatment plant?
They have a treatment plant
They have
and
town
public
water.
water supply.
They do, okay,
They have
great.
both.
Excellent.
You know, there's a variety of developments that may only have town water, but do have private septic systems, because we have town water in a number of large area of the town, but not all over.
Yeah.
And we have no municipal sewer, so
Right.
there may be a few shared systems scattered around the town, but really nothing associated, as far as I know, with a large development, aside from a wastewater treatment plant.
Right.
Mr. Chair, a question for Mark. Of the roads that would be put in one of these developments, would they ultimately become town roads?
They could become either.
It's the
Depends
typical
on-
town meeting has to vote on it,
Right, right.
vote for acceptance.
That's correct.
Okay.
It has to
Just
meet the
like a
conditions,
regular.
meet the state design
Right,
conditions,
right.
and then town meeting has to vote.
Okay.
That's one of the issues will come up right on Fern Avenue. That they can use, that will be paved and made the access for, because right now they're gonna put in 4 new units next to the fairways, and then 3 new units down here. And in the middle, he's already got 3 townhouses there with a roundabout, and the whole idea was for the traffic to go out that way, rather than coming all the way through the residences.
Right, well, I mean, there's nothing that prevents a town road to be connected to a private road, so that's what you have there. When he comes in for the next phase of development, we'll be looking at, we'll be asking for him to bring in design plans to improve that section of Fern Ave because of, it will be serving a large number of vehicles, so, it is an old paved road that doesn't meet today's standards.
Okay, great. All right, any further discussion? All right, let's discuss the next steps, item number
If
7.
if I may,
Yes.
just the next 2 articles are just,
So-
corrections to the
So,
sign bylaw,
So one is just a clarification, which is Article 9,
yeah,
which just clarifies that the special permits related to changeable copy electronic message board and internally illuminated signs shall be issued by the zoning board of appeals. It's elsewhere in the bylaw, but the planning board felt that they just wanted to ensure that that was the case. And then the Article 10 is an additional restriction on those types of signs, which would be the changeable copy, electronic message boards, and internally illuminated signs. And there was a lot of concern that that those signs are appropriate, like up at Route 44, the end of Main Street, where we have a lot of development, but we have a lot of other areas where there's little strips of commercial, and across the street or on either side are residential properties, and they felt that it was very impactful to those residentially zoned properties or single-family owned occupied properties to have those types of signs, so the board wanted to restrict that a little bit more, but not completely abolish.
Right. Is there a time, like, I'm ignorant of the rule, are the signs, do the signs have to be turned off by a certain time at night?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe it's 11 o'clock.
Because that was something we talked about quite a bit.
Okay. All right, great,
What-
thank you.
What I would like to see with those signs, one of the concerns is that they're distracting, okay? What I find distracting is when one's not working properly. And it's flickering and flashing and doing, that, I find that, way worse than the regular thing. I can ignore the regular stuff, but when they're screwing up and doing weird things, and I'm wondering if there's any language in there that says they have to be kept up to snuff, working properly. Because nothing's more annoying than a flickering light.
That's the grammar teacher in them
Yeah.
too.
It
when they're
is.
misspelled and whatever.
Yeah,
There is language in there, right, Mark?
the pool
That-
supply on Main Street,
Yeah.
that's all you see.
That's all you see.
When,
Exactly.
you take your eyes off the road.
Right, understood.
there may be some language in the sign bylaw that we revised a year ago about maintenance and upkeep of signs. I don't know off the top of my head specifically, but yes.
Didn't we also talk about giving a period of time where places like the Dollar Tree store would have to lower that sign down, but I think that would be a huge legal issue if we try to.
We lower the height of this,
Yeah, I mean, they always bring up the Dollar Tree store because of that sign. I mean, they want something more in line with Walgreens, or what they did up here at the Realtor on 1879.
Yeah, but if it was done legally according to the rule of law then I wouldn't poke that bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, the
there
planning
is a
board
way
approved
of,
it.
there
Yeah,
is a
if it's
way of
been-
what's called amortization, where
Right,
you
correct.
can spread out, over time, the investment made by the business, and then have those signs, go away, but it's generally not popular in the business community. I have, drafted one of those which did pass, and, but that was years ago, and I think there were 2 or 3 signs that applied to,
Right.
so.
And you get the law changed or the bylaw changed, so with the future and the new, requests that come in, if you've incorporated that change for, the new business, then we have to deal with the old, right? So, okay, I appreciate that very much. Any further discussion about the articles? 8, 9, and 10? Okay, hearing none. Go back to the, item 7, discuss the next steps.
And we did that. Oh,
Yep,
Yeah,
so we
I think
kinda
we've
did
covered
that
that.
earlier. See, we were talking about things that we've accomplished, right?
See?
Without really specifically mentioning them, and now we've done that. All right, schedule next meeting. So, is the October 17th a tentative?
yeah, and either 6:30 or 7, whatever works for Mark.
Yeah.
Both Marks.
Well, there is another meeting I have that evening, CPC, Community Preservation meeting is at 7 o'clock that evening.
6. What about 6?
I can do 6.
I can.
What day of the week is that?
The
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Is everyone amenable to that if the planning board can meet, would 6 o'clock be amenable?
Yeah.
I know one of our committee members who's absent this evening, works in Brockton, so I'm not sure if we can all make it, then we can still have a quorum and would be good to go, so.
As long as we can get the room.
Right, that's what I was gonna,
This is,
Typically, I
Rita,
can
can you
get it.
work your magic to get this room?
Typically, yeah, I will reach out to Kristen right away.
Okay, so we'll do 6 o'clock.
Yep.
And I think 30 minutes is more than enough time.
Does CPC meet here? Mark?
Usually.
Yeah, usually,
okay.
so.
So our meeting can't go past.
Right.
Perfect. All right. Slightly offended by that.
like what's the date for the meeting?
Kinda hurt. Sorry?
What's the date for the meeting?
The October 17th.
So Rita, when you check for this room, the CPC will have it from 6:30 on, but they've just changed the meeting to 7.
To 7,
Okay,
okay, all right.
thank you. Yeah,
So
so
I'll have
that's,
I'll have Nancy change.
I think 1 hour is more than enough.
Oh, yeah.
We've been at it for almost an hour now, so, okay, great. Last item, any other business that may properly come before the meeting? Hearing none.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your time, greatly appreciated. LakeCAM, thank you.